So let's talk a little bit about the Renaissance Club here. I don't want to talk too much about this because we've talked a lot about links golf, but I'll just give everybody a little bit of background. Couple facts, very quick hitters here. So this is a modern Scottish links course built in 2008. It's a par 71, and this is Renaissance Club is where they play the Scottish Open. So it's a par 71, 7,293 yards, but it's going to play shorter because of the nature of links golf. I mean, you could probably lengthen the course a lot and still get these guys taking advantage of some of the rollouts, so long as they don't land in that fescue rough. The Tom Doak course, maybe one of his most famous courses. It's on the Scottish coastline, so the weather is going to be a real issue. It seems like the weather will be an issue. This is a course where, like you said, Xander Schauffele won it 7 under last year because the weather stinks. If the weather's good, though, these guys can win at 22 under. So it's feast or famine depending on how the weather is. It's like Wrigley Field with the wind blowing in. It's just a totally different course. So, you know, you want to keep an eye on the weather. And if the weather is bad, you want guys who are good ball strikers, who are creative, and who are good around the greens. I'm telling you, Nate, that's going to be a stat that everybody should be looking at. These guys have to be creative. They have to scramble. They have to be able to avoid bogeys, and they have to be able to putt well. That's why Shane's not on my list, because he can't putt well. But that's really what you're going to need when you're talking about the Renaissance Club. I don't know if you want to add anything or if you want to just go straight to some of our picks.
Let's just go straight to our picks. I think we've pretty much covered what to expect in terms of the Renaissance Club. I guess the one thing that we should note maybe before we get to our picks is the weather. It's going to be a high in the low 60s. Anyone that's spent a lot of time in humid coastal climates like that, where there's not a lot of sun, knows that low 60s is not exactly balmy. So it's going to be chilly for all 4 days. It looks like it's going to be really windy on Sunday, and it looks like we're probably going to have rain either at some point, both on Friday and Saturday. So elements are definitely going to be a problem. Hopefully, you know, they can get this done. I don't think it's so much rain that they won't be able to play. Typically, they just play through it in Scotland anyways. So, but the weather will be a factor, and guys are going to be wet and cold for, 4 days probably.
Time difference is tough too. If you don't sleep, you can watch them tee off at 1:15 in the morning Central Time. So you may actually be able to catch them a little bit earlier. I guess you could probably.
I can catch them before I go to bed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So that's always tough for American viewers, but we'll get through it, because you're going to have to get a good night's sleep in order to watch some of this golf. And one of the only ways, Nate, that you can get a good night's sleep, in my opinion, MyPillow.com. MyPillow.com, that MyPillow 2.0 is just an incredible product. I use it every night. Look, I snore. I mean, I snore. It's embarrassing how much I snore. I snore all the time. I think it's because I'm not healthy, but I'm trying to get a little healthier. And one of the ways that I do that is through MyPillow.com. So you go to MyPillow.com, you order that MyPillow 2.0, or, you order some slippers, a robe, some towels, washcloths. You can order so much stuff on MyPillow.com, not just pillows. And you put in the promo code FUN. That promo code, Nate, that's not 10%. That's up to 80% on different products. So it's huge. Just an incredible, yeah. Oh my God. I mean, if you've not been on there, I know Nate has. Nate gets all his stuff from MyPillow as well. But for our listeners, if you haven't done that, go to MyPillow.com, go to promo code FUN, put in that promo code, up to 80% off on all of your pillow needs. Really just some incredible stuff. And you just are going to have to be able to get a good night's sleep in order to watch the Scottish Open. Otherwise, you'll be tossing and turning, trying to watch Colin Morikawa battle through the rain at 3 a.m. Nobody wants to do that. Not even the sickest of golf sickos like us. Picks, Scottish Open picks here.
Picks.
I think we have a ton. I can't remember how much it is, but we have a lot of talent at the Scottish Open. Like a lot of guys in the top 100 for OWGR are playing this week. So loaded fields, top heavy. Really a big difference when it comes to the field in some of the best players in the world and then the rest of the field. There's not a ton of guys in the middle that I'm super confident in, but I do have a long shot that I really like. So let's start, as always, who's in our bag with our driver. This is our heavy favorite. I'll defer to you first, but I could probably guess who you're going to go with.
I like Tyrrell Hatton here.
Oh, I had no idea. No, I didn't think you were going to go Tyrrell. Tyrrell, back on Tyrrell.
We're back on Tyrrell. I mean, Terrell's just having a hell of a season, right?
He
6
is.
top 10s this year. You know, he's just been playing great. And he always plays these sort of link style courses well. He's got 3, basically top 11s at the Open. I don't see, obviously he's a native to this sort of area, an Englishman, so he's comfortable playing these style courses. This just feels like a good spot for him. His odds are a little bit bumped, just because we have some of the real big dogs in this field, Scotty Scheffler and Rory, sort of, primarily. But then you get a little bit of a jump to the Cantlays, Schauffele's, and Hattons of the world, and Hovlands and Fowler, I guess, are all kind of sitting right around the same price, depending on where you shop your prices from. But on DraftKings, they're, anywhere from 14 to 18 to 1. And Hatton just looks like the best of that bunch to me right now, just given current form, sort of comfort with the style of play, etc. I just like Tyrrell. So
He's playing incredible golf. And at some point, you got to hope he wins. And I knew you were going to go with all the native Europeans. I just knew it. That's like classic Nate. Like, well, yeah. He's from the area, so of course he's going to do well here. And that's a great strategy. These guys play links style of golf all the time. It's kind of how their game is shaped. But I knew you were going to do that. I knew you'd have like 900 Irishmen and Scotsmen.
It's just Euro Central on
British.
here,
yeah. Well, and look, the Ryder Cup's coming up, so we want to be paying attention to some of these guys in Europe who are going to be our main competition. If you cheer for the American team, which of course we do because we are proud Americans, so we cheer for the American team. Tyrrell Hatton, not a bad pick here. Not for me though. I'm going with Scotty Scheffler because why not? I don't care about the plus 650. Dude, I'm not even going to tell you his stats. Well, I could tell you a little bit. Here's the statistic that is just incredible. I counted this up last night. He has played 18 appearances since like November, like 18 tournaments. Guess how many top 10s he's had in those 18 appearances, his last 18 appearances?
This is like 16 or 17.
15. And
15.
in like 2 of them are like T11. So it's almost 18 if you count the T11s. It's incredible. I mean, this is like Tiger level of dominance. He's just not winning. And you know why? And we've talked about it before. The man can't putt to save his life. So I'm just going to take you through his strokes gained. Just strokes gained. All right. Total strokes gained. What is he?
1.
1 first. Strokes gains off the tee. What is he?
Probably 2.
First. Strokes gained approach. What is he?
2.
First. Strokes gained around the green.
I think he's like 3rd in strokes gained around the green.
Fourth. Because when the course gets shorter, he gets nervous. Strokes gained putting.
155.
131, which I think he's actually improved.
I think he's like ascending quickly.
If this man gets to 75th in strokes gained putting, nobody else is going to win a tournament. This is some of the best golf you have seen from somebody. Your dog Boatson agrees. I hear him in the background. He's a huge Scotty Scheffler fan as well.
We need to pause for a second. He's freaking out.
Yeah, let's take a little break here. We'll come right back.
Break here. All right,
we're back. Nate's dog is situated. He was getting a little fired up because of the Scotty Scheffler numbers. It just is incredible. We don't need to spend too much more time talking about it. I don't care, man. Plus 650. It's kind of, to me, the odds could be Tiger numbers plus 400. If he figures out the putter, the guy's going to win a million different tournaments. Those top, I don't know what his top 5 is this week, but those top 5, top 10, I mean, that's where the money is. Even if it's minus 120, it's like betting a baseball game. I mean, it's going to happen. Like what's his top 10? Do you know?
Minus 140.
I take it. Like, why not? 15 out of the last 18 appearances. You're telling me he's going to finish T30? That's not going to happen.
No, and I mean he's plus 150 for a top 5. So, I mean, the prices are just ludicrous, but like there's still like it breaks my golf brain to think like there's value on someone at minus 140 to finish in the top 10. But I think there still might be. Yeah. I think that's still like a very real thing.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's not something like we sound like clowns being like, oh, take just Scotty Scheffler top 10 minus 140. But I don't know how else to package that other than it's like a lock. I mean, I hate those words, but it's so close to a lock.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's just it's shocking how good he is from tee to green.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, look, he's my driver. I don't see how you can take anyone else, but of course, Tyrrell Hatton, always fun. So respect that pick. Let's get to the irons. These are guys who win tournaments. They're old reliables, but their odds are usually pretty good. So you feel pretty good if you hit one of these, maybe not 60 to 1, but 25, 35 to 1. Why don't you go ahead and tell us who your iron is Shane Lowry.
Yeah, we already discussed Shane Lowry. I mean, he just checks all the boxes for me, and he's 35 to 1. Like, but why not?
Absolutely. I mean, he's like we said before. I think Shane Lowry, perfect opportunity here to win a tournament. So don't overlook him. I'll give you mine here. I've been on him all season. I'm not going to get off him now. The one time I got off him, the two times I was not on him, he won a tournament, and that is my boy Wyndham Clark. So listen, U.S. Open first. We talked about how maybe the crowd had something to do with that. I don't know, man. Guys playing incredible golf. T12 at the Memorial. He was cut at the PGA, won the Wells Fargo. So he's won 2 events already this year, and not like in February. I mean, some of those guys who won back in February, you think, oh, that's almost feels like a different season than July. These are wins that are big wins in big events that occurred in June, basically. So he's 35 to 1. I think that's fine. I mean, he is creeping up there because he's winning so much, but I'll take the 35 to 1. Some of the statistics I like, I mean, tee to green, he's 18th, off tee, he's 31st, putting 37th. He's always been a bomber. So his driving distance is 8th, scrambling 37th, par 3 scoring average 49th, par 5 scoring average 10th. Those numbers are okay. But I mean, what I like about him is not necessarily the numbers. It's the fact that he hits the ball a mile, and his iron game has been elite in the last month or two. And he is putting like a crazy man. So if that continues to hold, I don't see a reason why he can't win another tournament.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, his game should travel anywhere at this point. I mean, it's just clicking on all levels. I mean, yeah, and his putter travel has always been a good putter. It was just always the irons were always the missing link, and now he's figured that out. He's figured out how to win. I mean, he looks like a guy that's, I don't even know if we could say poised for a breakthrough. I mean, now he's a major champion, but he looks like a guy who's getting ready to win a lot more. That's for sure.
Yeah. In the Memorial T29, that was right after the US Open, we knew there'd be a letdown there. There always is with most of these guys who aren't used to winning big majors. You spend Monday and Tuesday drinking from the trophy and going on social media, living your best life, going to Panthers games. And then you got to play in a tournament on Thursday, and you're just not well oiled at that point, I think.
Yeah. A little tight.
A little tight there. So,
dehydrated.
Yeah, we'll see. But as far as Wyndham goes, I mean, it's a bright future for Wyndham, and you can continue to stay on him. Speaking of futures trading, Nate, let me tell you something. TargetTrading.co is the only trading education company in America that I trust. Now, when it comes to trading blue chip stocks, I mean, you go on, you got your Ameritrade, your Charles Schwab account, you buy some Disney stock, you try to hold it, you hope it goes up. That's everybody's strategy. You diversify, whatever. But when you're talking about futures trading, that is highly speculative. It is something that you cannot and should not be doing without the proper education. And the best way to get that is with Patrick Asselone at targettrading.co. That's targettrading.co. Patrick comes on our Godzilla Wins show every week on Saturday, and he gives us his numbers. Every week, he's got more wins than losses. He doesn't have losing weeks. And these aren't like Patrick sitting there on Zoom saying, okay, take this oil future right now. He's giving you the tools with which to then analyze the market and unlock your own financial security. So what I need you to do is go to targettrading.co. That's targettrading.co, and unlock your financial freedom today. You get a whole campus virtual tour. You can talk to Patrick. This is an accessible company run by great people. So targettrading.co, that's where you need to be if you want to unlock your financial future. I'm sure you agree, Nate.
Absolutely. I mean, Patrick's the best in the business at what he does.
Absolutely
Bottom
true.
line.
And he's an incredible UFC analyst. So, you know, tune into the Godzilla Win Saturday show, 8:30 to 10 Eastern time, all over the East Coast there. Live radio. We have a lot of fun. And Patrick's on there every week because we love to talk to him about UFC retired fighter. Got a great perspective with that stuff. So now that we've talked a little bit about our futures trading education and where you can get that, let's talk a little bit about some guys with some bright future. I'm going to start here with my wedge. Now, a wedge is our guys who maybe haven't won yet, but we just love them. Can't quit them. I got a new one, and I'm not quitting him for a while, and you're not going to like it. His name is Min Woo Lee. And
great.
Min Woo Lee is just, he is just poised for a breakthrough here. Now, for all of our listeners, one of the reasons Nate is not the biggest Min Woo Lee fan is his father, who is, you know, a pretty good golf handicapper in his own right, I think, was really on Min Woo Lee at the US Open, and Nate just outright dismissed it. And Min Woo Lee was
told him to take Emiliano Grillo instead.
That's right. Yeah. Which your dad followed that logic. He took Emiliano Grillo, and Min Woo Lee finished tied for 5th at the US Open. I'm sure you still haven't heard the end of that one.
No.
No.
We haven't talked much since.
I was with you and your dad for that saga, and I mean, every fourth word out of his mouth was Min Woo Lee. Every time Min Woo Lee, every time he sized up a shot, your dad was just, oh, well, Min Woo Lee. He's got a shot. You know, Min Woo Lee.
How's Min Woo Lee doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Min Woo Lee. There he is. Oh,
another good shot from Min Woo Lee.
And I'm almost positive that the only reason your dad likes him is because his sister plays on the LPGA, because he brought that up about 600 times. Like every time Min Woo Lee would like walk up to the green, sauntering up there, T5 at the US Open, your dad would just be like, you know, his sister plays on the LPGA. Like, yeah, we do know that. It's pretty interesting that two people from the same family might be good at the same sport. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, there's just a lot of Min Woo Lee love down there at your dad's house in South Texas. I like Min Woo Lee this week. You know, 35 to 1, not a great price for a guy who is a rookie and doesn't have a lot of stats. But here's kind of what I have for him. So he's just been trending upward. I mean, T18 at the PGA, T40 at Charles Schwab, but then a T5 at the US Open and a T9 at the Travelers. So he's playing well right now. And what's working for him is what I like. So like at the Travelers, strokes gained putting plus 1.73. Around the green, which is a stat I really like this week, strokes gained for him was plus 1.13. The problem with him is that the approach, he can struggle with the approach. So like even at the US Open, it was 0.7, which was like okay for him. Around the green was 0.57 at the US Open. So that was struggling. But I feel like his game is trending in the right direction. He's a rookie, so you don't have the same kind of traditional stats that you do. You just kind of have to be like, okay, well, he's playing well. And also he plays on the DP World Tour, I believe. And so he is used to playing over in Europe. It's not like this is the first time he's ever played a links golf course.
He's actually won this tournament before here. He won the Renaissance in 2019.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'm all over Min Woo Lee for the right reasons. I think that this is, I think this is a Min Woo Lee week. To be honest with you, he's one of my best outrights, I think, this week. I really like him. So let's talk then about your wedge. Who's a guy who you like who doesn't always win?
Adam Scott. Adam
Yeah.
Scott is who I like. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been all over Adam Scott lately.
I'm optimistic about Adam Scott. He's 45 to 1. He was like 55 to 1 yesterday. So Adam Scott's clearly getting a little bit of betting love because when I wrote him up yesterday, he was north of 50. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about Adam Scott. Like I said, I kind of want guys that have shown me something at these sorts of tournaments before, at these sort of link style tournaments before. Adam Scott definitely has done that. I mean, he's got what five top 10s at the Open Championship and 10 top 25s. I mean, he's been playing for like 100 years, but that's still pretty good. He even won a tournament in Scotland 2002 when he took down the Scottish PGA. If you want to check back 21 years.
That's right. That's the kind of stats I'm looking for.
Yeah, just relevant stuff. But I mean, but he hasn't won in a while, right? He really, since like 2016, he won in 2019 in Australia. He won the Genesis Invitational in 2020, but he really hasn't won that much. So I think he qualifies as a guy that doesn't win. The problem with Adam Scott is that for so long, he was like elite ball striker, great off the tee, incredible iron player, cannot putt, right? That was always Adam Scott narrative. It was like, he just cannot get it together on the greens. That's why he didn't win more. When they sort of did the anchoring ban and he had to switch away from the broomstick putter for a while and try to putt traditional, it was just like, it was just like they put a loaded, like, it was just like they pulled the pin out of a grenade and just set it in his hands every time he was on the green. He just had no idea what to do. He went back to the broomstick, has kind of figured out a way to use it while not anchoring it. And right now, I mean, just looking at it, this has to be, if this isn't the best he's putted in his career, like just total, it has to be the best that he's putted in at least 10 or 15 years. I mean, the numbers are just outrageous right now. They just jump off the page. He putted incredible at the Memorial. He putted good at the Travelers. He basically field average the US Open, but all the putting numbers are jumping off the page at me. The problem is his iron game. He switched some irons. He stopped using Titleist as equipment manufacturer. He's sort of been bouncing around trying to get that squared away. At some point, he's just too good of a talent. His swing is too good for him not to get it figured out at some point. I think that it's more likely than not that his ball striking will come around, heading somewhere like the Renaissance, where it's a little bit more kind of feel and just sort of bumping it around and, running it up onto the greens. This feels like something that can accommodate his game right now. And the way that he's putting, I love. So I'm all in on Adam Scott at this price. I mean, I think he's another one of those guys that you're like, when you think back to 2015 golf, and you think, oh yeah, they used to be really good. Or even 2008 golf or 2012 golf with Adam Scott. You think, oh yeah, they were really good. And then now they're sort of making a comeback. I feel like he's another one of those older guys that still has a little bit left in the tank, despite being, in his early 40s.
I think you're right. And he's a guy who's been in the mix a lot lately because his putting has gotten a lot better. And he's someone who understands how to win in links golf. I think he'll be there. The problem with these old guys that you have to worry about is just stamina. It's like they're there. Oh, here he comes. Then on Sunday, they just kind of fall apart. Not that an older guy can't win a tournament. We saw Phil, Tiger, all sorts of old guys win tournaments, and 40 is not even that old, especially for golf. But you worry a little bit about the stamina, and he does seem to fall off on Sunday a lot. So that's kind of my one worry about him. But it's not a bad pick. What were his odds?
He's 45 to 1 right now. He was like probably 55 to 1 when the books opened on him, and then down 50, down to 45.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see. Let's run through a couple of these pretty quickly, the putter and the hybrid, because I want to get to the Barbasol, and we're running a little short on time here. So let's talk a little bit about our putters are our bet and regrets. I'm going to go very quickly. My bet and regret right now is Ludwig Aber. He's another rookie on my card this week. He's 50 to 1. Here's why I'm regretting taking him. This course, links golf, I don't know if it fits his game super well. We don't have a lot of statistics to know exactly what fits his game, but he's a bomber off the tee. He hits the ball long. and he struggles kind of around the green. So far anyway, that's been where he's kind of struggled. He's an okay putter, but sometimes he loses it, and his approach numbers can be mercurial at times. So the reason I like Bear is the T40 at the Rocket Mortgage, the T24 at the Travelers, the T4 at the John Deere. I don't think that I think in a loaded field like this, he's probably going to have one or two good days, and then kind of, if he makes the cut, I think he'll probably falter to, another T35, T40. But I just want to keep keeping an eye on him because he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really is going to be interesting to see how his game translates to this sort of different style of play, because we know what he can do on sort of American courses, but we haven't seen him much over there. So that'll be
I
interesting.
mean, he's a European. I'm sure he's not totally, I'm sure he's played, links golf before. So, we'll see. And he plays with a lot of confidence. Guy's going to win a tournament pretty soon. And some of these, like Sahith is another one. We were all over him early. He's kind of faltered. I think Bear, the ceiling is really high on this guy. So just keeping an eye on him and watching him play. Who's your putter?
The one guy I'm kind of skeptical of, and he's not someone that I bet, but I've seen him like thrown around a lot, and it feels just sort of like, like people just can't get off of him, is Tommy Fleetwood. I'm pretty skeptical of taking Tommy Fleetwood this week. First,
Why?
the price sort of sucks. He's 22-1. He's plus 2,200. He's had some good starts. He T5 at the US Open, obviously that playoff loss of the RBC Canadian the week before that. It just like, how do you like we know who Tommy Fleetwood is, right? He's 32 years old. We know who he is. We know what he is. He's been, in professional golf for, almost a decade. He has never won a PGA Tour event. How do you justify betting a guy who's been playing, at least some PGA Tour events for nearly a decade, and think like 22-1, like he's about ready to pop now? He's been living in this range for a lot of his career, and I'm just off the Tommy Fleetwood train. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, me either.
Like
the playoff he lost at the RBC Canadian to, now I'm losing it. Ryan Taylor.
Nick Taylor.
So I mean, I was so frustrating, and it was so classic Fleetwood that I don't want to bet him ever again. I was so mad at him for flubbing that opportunity, and Taylor left the door wide open for him. So I'm with you there. I mean, I'm always going to be skeptical of Fleetwood because he just can't close. If you can't close, what's the point? Yeah. Long shots. Let's look at long shots. This is my guy right here. Let me tell you about my long shot this week. And I was on him a couple weeks ago. Then he withdrew, and I almost threw my computer at the wall because I was so locked in to Byung Hun On. I guess that's how you say it.
Ben On, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, 110-1 for a guy who just has such upside is incredible. Like so sometimes he gets cut. Like, I mean, I get it. He's 110-1. You're not always going to make the cut. But like Mexico Open, T33, AT&T, T14, Schwab, 21st, Memorial, T24, John Deere, T51. So he's making cuts. Okay, he missed the Travelers on the Rocket Mortgage. But other than that, and he missed the Wells Fargo. But for the most part, he's making cuts. He's made more cuts than he's missed the last couple tournaments he's played in. Now, I just like his numbers. I mean, first of all, he's a bomber. We know that, right? He hits the ball a mile. So I like that about him. I think it's going to give him the opportunity to take advantage of that role. He's a good scrambler, 11th in scrambling this year. Around the green, he's not too bad. He's like 3rd. So all the stuff that I really like, he's excelling in. Approach is rough. So if the weather's bad, I think you could see him miss the cut. I guess is the best way to think about that. But man, I'm telling you, I love this. I love this pick at 110-1. I think he's going to be sneaking around, and I'm going to be just absolutely touting on Twitter.
Yeah, you're going to be the only guy on Ben On, I think. So mine's like a two-parter because I couldn't decide who I liked more. So I'm just I like two guys for my long shots. They so happen to be twins. I like Rasmus and Nikolai Hojgaard this week.
All
I
right,
mean,
yeah. Back on
I've been on
Hojgaard. I
I've been on
knew Hojgaard was coming. At some point, I knew you'd be back on Hojgaard.
Yeah, I mean, we were on Nikolai a lot. You know, he finished second in Puerto Rico kind of earlier in the season. He was a guy like I kind of had my eye on, and then he kind of cooled off a little bit. And while he's been cooling off, his twin brother Rasmus has been hotter than a house of fire. He just won last week in the Maiden Himmerland, which is in their native Denmark, the DP World Tour event. So he's coming in fresh off a victory. I like both those guys. I don't know how to discern between the two in terms of odds. I guess like I'd probably lean Rasmus just because he's playing a little bit better and his odds reflect that. He's 100 to 1. His twin brother Nikolai is 110 to 1. So, you know, you could do worse than taking one of those guys. Probably lean Rasmus though, just based on recent form. But Nikolai also looks like he's sort of, his game is moving in the right direction. He just needs all four to kind of click at once. He's kind of had two of one thing and, you know, not something else. So he's getting close, but Rasmus is right there right now.
Those guys are DP World Tour heroes. I mean, you look at the odds on any given DP World Tour, and they're usually right up there at the top. You know, they play in Europe all the time. They play links golf all the time. So those are some good picks there. The twins, maybe you like them. So we'll see. Listen, there's going to be a lot of good golf playing at the Scottish Open, but we also have the Barbasol. And now, Nate, I know you've got a couple picks for the Barbasol here. It's a little bit of a bleaker field. Before you do that, the best way to find odds for the Barbasol or the Scottish Open is DraftKings. You go to DraftKings.com, you sign up if you're in a state where they offer DraftKings, and you put in the promo code Godzilla. That's Godzilla. You get a $150 bonus on a $5 bet, $5 deposit, basically. So great promo, Godzilla. All you need is $5. Turn that into $150 in free rewards at DraftKings.com. Now, Nate, Godzilla Wins is for entertainment purposes only. We all know that. Anything you go on Godzilla Wins, it's for entertainment purposes only. Clubhouse Picks is for entertainment purposes only. But if you have a gambling problem, you got to call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537 in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. You call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelp.ma.org in Massachusetts. You call 877-G-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369 in New York. Got to gamble responsibly. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas and New Hampshire, 888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org. That's ccpg.org in Connecticut. In Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF, or visit opgr.org if you're in Oregon. So we want you to be able to gamble responsibly if you're into the DraftKings stuff. So Nate, go ahead. Give us some quick hitters here with the Barbasol, then we'll get out of there.
All right, Barbasol's a birdie fest. We talked about it. The field is weak. I mean, anytime that Taylor Pendrith is opening at plus 1,600, things are pretty bleak for this field. Lucas Glover is the highest world ranking player in the field. He is clocking in at 112th. If you're looking at FedEx Cup and you're thinking, well, maybe there's some hot players from the FedEx Cup in this week, Justin Lauer's 93rd in the FedEx Cup rankings. He is the highest FedEx Cup ranked player in the field. So weird week to say the least. My strategy was not very nuanced. It was mostly like, who are guys that are actually good and like have actually won before that are like playing pretty decent. And I basically settled on like Lucas Glover, who's 22 to 1.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Lucas Glover's figured out how to putt recently. He's gained strokes putting his last couple of events, and you know, he's coming off a T4 with the Rocket Mortgage and a T6 at John Deere Classic. This looks like a spot where Lucas Glover can beat a very, very weak field. Grayson Murray's another guy that I looked at. He had a pretty good week last week as well. He's sort of been bouncing back and forth between Korn Ferry and the PGA Tour. He's stacked some really good Korn Ferry finishes alongside some sort of PGA ones. He's also coming off a T6 of the John Deere. So those are kind of like the two sort of at the top of the board, even though it's shocking that they're at the top of the board. Grayson Murray's 35 to 1, Lucas Glover's 22 to 1. I mean, if we're getting any further than that, it gets pretty bleak pretty fast. The only one that sort of caught my eye was I like Ryan Gerard a little bit. He's sort of a journeyman guy. He had some good finishes earlier in the season and sort of got some sort of conditional status. He's cooled off quite a bit. You know, he really hasn't had a good tournament since, you know, basically like February, March. But you know, at 50-1 against this field, like who the hell knows? So those are kind of the three that I liked. But it's not very pretty. I mean, the Barbasol's not probably, it'll be an interesting tournament to watch, but I don't know if it's going to be my first choice of the two going this week.
I think there's some value with Akshay. I mean, it was 28-1, but this is a
shootout course. I mean, they're going to go 25 under, you know, easy.
Yeah, absolutely. No love for Peter Malnati.
No, not Malnati. The one that I had to look up was Nicholas Norgard. You ever heard of Nicholas Norgard? Where you looked at the odds board and he was
I saw
there.
him. Yeah,
I saw it too, and I thought, who the fuck is that guy? He is a DP World Tour player. He's one of the guys that came over from Europe as part of these co-sanctioning things. So he got some status. So he's over here, coming from the DP World Tour, European Tour. You know, he's had some decent tournaments. He's T35 in the Himmerland tournament that Rasmus Højgaard won. He finished 7th in the British Masters week before that. But I mean, yeah, the field is weird. If there are guys in the top 10 on the betting odds that I need to like look up because I have no idea who they are, and they're ranked for perspective, Nicholas Norgard Muller is in the official world golf rankings 304th, yet he is 8th betting option this week. So that gives you some idea.
Yeah, that's rough. And you wish there was like Kevin Yu was in this or Justin Suh, like just a guy who's been playing pretty well where you're like, oh, like I'll take that 23-1, you know, whatever. But Glover's, I mean, I think that's the best play there. He actually has been playing pretty well. He probably can win a tournament there. So just for the purposes of the podcast and our YouTube page, list off the Barbasol your picks really quickly again, and then we'll close out the show.
Let's go. Lucas Glover 22 plus 2,200, Grayson Murray plus 3,500, Ryan Gerard plus 5,000.
All right. So there's your Barbasol quick hit picks there. We talked a lot about the Scottish Open, but we wanted to get the Barbasol in there just a little bit. Listen, everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Clubhouse Picks. We love doing this podcast, even when we don't win, because we get the opportunity to talk golf. And in the future, you know, we're going to have more guests on as we move forward. If you are listening on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts, go ahead and subscribe. You can download on any of those podcast streaming platforms. You can go to GodzillaWins.com for all of our writing for PGA Tour and the NBA, UFC, whatever you need. We have it there. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and follow all of our videos. More to come soon. Nate, next week, where are we going to be?
Next week, we are going to be at the Barracuda Championship in scenic Truckee, California, just outside of Reno. So I'll be up there reporting live on site. And also we'll be at the Open Championship, of course, at Royal Liverpool Club.
Absolutely. So we're very excited to come to you next week live. Everybody, happy golfing. Want to thank Nate for joining me as always. Have a great week, y'all. We'll see you next week for the Open.